We have to head straight into the business of the day, and that's the papers we will be beginning with. And I will begin with the Nation newspaper, the major story here, why Tinubu suspended Emefiele as CBN governor. Apex Bank chief faces DSS probe over alleged money laundering, terror financing others. Folashodun Shonubi to act as central bank helmsman. All right, and some other stories here. Subsidy in Nigeria, no more for the Christmas to other countries, says Tinubu. Says payments were bringing the country to her knees. A presidential election well conducted, Atiku's witnesses tell tribunal. Tinubu Shatima APC's objection stole video evidence by Obi Labour Party. Police recovers 40 vehicles in raid on ex-governor Matawale's house. Attends National Assembly, tell aspirants to manage their ambitions. Tinubu urges traditional rulers. And one final story on the front page, Ganduje Kwankwaso renew rivalry over Kano demolitions. I could have slapped him if I'd met him in Aso Rock, ex-governor threatens. Ganduje is the number one stooge, NNPP leader alleges. Who has a story here?
I have a story on page 13.
Right.
And it says, teenage girl rescued as Lagos communities battle floods and erosion. The story goes on to say that an eyewitness said the girl in question was running errands for her mother when the flood seized her legs and was sweeping her away. But some men dared the water and pulled her out before she could be submerged. And the story, it's a full page, and it goes on to highlight different situations where in the area they'd had instances like this of flood, and would see even when rain falls in Lagos, there's always some form of traffic, and then we're always looking forward to what the cause is, and then we find out that it's flood, right? And the communities involved are now calling on the government to please fix their drainages and ensure that things like this do not happen, because if this girl in question was not rescued, that would have been another family thrown into mourning, right? So we can see this on page 13 of the Nation newspaper.
Right, that's a very timely one, looking at the fact that we're in the rainy season, rather. All right, I have one story here talking about this matter of fuel subsidy and the president saying that Nigeria is no longer for the Christmas to other countries. Over the week, we saw reportedly some Cameroonian motorcyclists protesting why did the government, Nigerian government, remove fuel subsidy, talking about how it was affecting them because across some African countries, they prefer Nigerian fuel to what they have originally. And so that's why we saw that businesses thrive with the matter of smuggling the fuel to other African countries. And so the president is saying that this has been costing us a lot because we do not have the true figures of how much we consume on a daily basis. And even NNPCL had at some point said that we consume about 200,000 liters, go out of the country, or even much more with regards to smuggling. And we recall also that it is also reported that we find our fuel go as far as Sudan. That's what has been reported. But with the removal of fuel subsidy, that has been checked, and we have seen African countries also reacting, removing, cutting down on fuel subsidy as well in the countries. We'll move quickly now to Saturday Punch. And the major story here, experts hail Tinubu as president suspends Emefiele others, CBN probe. Suspended CBN governor's policies worsen the economy. Analysts are saying this. Security agents may arrest ex-CBN governor, mount surveillance at airports, others. And another story at the top corner, 40 vehicles recovered from Matabawale's residence, police speaking. A speakership was Betara, others aggrieved aspirants to adopt candidate. I am shocked. Flood swept my husband away despite his hefty stature. A wife is reporting this just to look at the story you just talked about earlier on. Traditionalists who tamper with my crops will join me, Monarchs speaking. I wonder why Damola is laughing. Looking good has favored me, Ash Musin. Yes. El Rufai's comments on Muslim domination against Nigeria's unity, ex-CAN director, losing brother, mom in one day, still a nightmare, late coppers family speaking. So let me quickly begin with this story that made Damola laugh. And that's the Olubara of Ibara land in Ogun State. You know, he had an interview and he was talking about the tradition when monarch return to their creator, because it is said that they don't die, so they return to their creator. And he was asked about the tradition, what happens when a monarch passes on, and he says their legs are cut, some things are cut off and all of that. And he is not a member of the cults that, you know, carry out all of this, and that there has been a law that was put in place by a particular monarch to ensure that some persons' bodies are not tampered with. And he has spoken to that sternly. He has warned that anybody who tampers with any part of his body will follow him. And that he has gotten a place where he should be buried. His wife will be buried side by side him. He has made all the plans. All he wants is that bury me in a public cemetery, no form of mutilation, tradition, and all of it. I just want to be buried whole. I want to return to my ancestor just the way I came.
I think that made me laugh because I was just wondering, this guy. He's not a
guy. He's a monarch.
He's a monarch. This monarch had to state categorically that don't touch my body, because, and then a picture just ran through my mind. What if you came to life whole, and then you're returning with one leg? It was just the picture that was playing in my head. That
he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
He wants to return to his creator complete, alongside his wife when time comes.
And then these conversations are really rare to find when people prepare for afterlife, to say, when XYZ happens, do this, do that. And for him to now even prepare where he's going to be buried and all that means that he's actually thinking through the entire process.
Of course.
Right? And not just saying, well.
There are many who think through that process.
Yeah.
Recently, I saw someone who said that if he dies, or when he dies, rather, his organs that are functional should be deposited somewhere or donated somewhere, and that he wants to be cremated. He doesn't want to take any space. That those spaces should be used for building of hospitals and all of those orphanages and all of those. He doesn't want to take any space. He just wants to be cremated, and that's it. It's final for him. Any other story here?
No, I don't have a story.
You don't have any? Okay. Let's quickly move now, and we move to the Saturday Sun. And the major story here, National Assembly leadership, APC's consensus proposal suffers a fresh setback. PDP, LP, NNPP, Northern lawmakers elect align against ruling party. International community frowns at plan to intimidate senators-elect with security agents. Ohaneze appoints Anyoku Ugwai and 66 others into advisory council. And Tinubu suspends Emefiele others probe of CBN. And Tinubu, Nigeria no longer for the Christmas to neighboring countries meets traditional rulers. That's on the front page of the Daily Sun. Who has what story?
I have a story that says 10 important health checks men and women must do in their 40s. Did you want to take that story?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll just contribute.
And so the report says that, you know, most times women and men just go by life and say, I'm getting old and that's just it. But it outlines 10 important screenings, right, to get done. So one of it is the screen for depression and evaluation of mental health, right? I picked that out because, you know, sometimes when people go through stuff, you probably think that it's just stress. It's just stress, and then you overlook it till you're in your 50s, 60s. But this article is saying that depression and the evaluation of mental health, because even living in our country, Nigeria, comes with its very own peculiarities. So conversations and checks regarding mental health should be done. Others include blood pressure and cholesterol, hormonal functions, nutrition and exercise, skin cancer, then sexual health too. Those are just to mention a few.
Oftentimes, like you pointed out, we feel that we do not need, I woke up early, I feel strong, I'm not tired, and so I don't need all these checks. That's what some persons think until you begin to hear that people collapse all of a sudden. Their body has been speaking to them, they are not listening. That's the challenge a majority of us have. Your body, you're having consistent headaches, you're not wondering why. You take paracetamol, you feel okay, it's fine, but the headache still persists. You're not checking yourself to understand what is the root cause of this headache, persistent headache. Or you feel pain a certain place, you're wondering why. Some other persons just take herbs without any measurements, so to speak, and feel that once I've taken this, I go jedi. Once I've taken this one, and that one, I am fine. And so that's what it is. But when you get to a certain age, all of these things begin to tell on you, even before 40. I would say that people should begin to check themselves because the world is changing. What we are eating is changing. So the moment you hit your 20s or 25, begin to take up these checks. Ensure that you are okay, and you begin to address anything that you need to address ahead of time. And that is what a lot of persons do not pay attention to. In fact, some persons will say on your birthday, instead of buying yourself a dress or buying one thing, going to spend money here and there, why not use that money to do a total check of your body?
A thorough body analysis.
How does that sound?
Just to be sure that you can actually last another year.
That's it. And that's important.
Really important.
Absolutely. Right. We move now to Saturday Vanguard. And the major story here says, to crush oil thieves, you must step on toes. Niger Delta stakeholders tell Tinubu. Army, Navy, Air Force, Police, DSS, NNPC, IOC top politicians in Villa involved. Burna Boy continues global stage onslaught, performs at Champions League final tonight. Iniedo on the rebound.
New cat.
Lagos anti-ethnic laws, Monarchs on Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, Tinubu, Atiku, Kowa, Ribadu Ibori, the controversies, the truth. Insecurity, 325 killed, 150 kidnapped in 10 days under Tinubu. CBN Governor Emefiele suspended. What story do you have here?
I have a story on page 4 that says we are closest to our people, use us. Oni tells Tinubu. So in a courtesy visit by the National Council of Traditional Rulers in Nigeria to the president at the State House, you know, the Oni spoke on behalf of the traditional rulers and went on to say that there are areas we would like to work with you, one of which is security. It is time you use us more. We're not saying we're idle, but make use of us. That's what they were saying. So, and I'd agree that the traditional rulers are actually closer to the people in communities, and I think that they're even closer than the local government chairmen in most states, especially states maybe not Lagos, other states in the West. And I had seen a close relationship with the Oni and the people of Osun State being indigenes, right? And that's similar in other states too. And the Oni is saying, no, it's not like we're idle, but in matters of security, we know...
We need to quickly go on a break. We'll continue this conversation when we return from the break. To stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. We're still looking through the newspaper headlines. And before we went on the break, Toby, you were talking about a particular story.
Yes, the Oni speaking to the president of Nigeria, saying that please use us. And I think that that's very critical to get the security in check in our nation going forward. Absolutely.
Before the inauguration of the president, the Association of Monarchs, I think that's what it's called, they came together, they put forward a communique, like setting an agenda for the president, that the president, they will be willing to be involved with matters of insecurity, and that they were requesting 50% of security votes being given to governors, state governors, And many persons had criticized that originally, what is their original function as monarchs? Are they playing that role? You don't need to get involved. You don't need to put it forward that, okay, we are here, you can use us. What do you want from the president? Why are you there? That's the major question that some persons will ask.
In cases like Amotekun?
In cases like Amotekun, yes, what are they supposed to do?
To protect, too.
Amotekun is there to protect, but they cannot put that team together. They cannot fund them.
True.
It is the state government that is funding Amotekun. Right? Yeah. If you are saying we should give you 50% of security votes, what do you want to do with it? Right? Do you want to buy weapons?
Shakabula.
So these are the issues. Because you would recall that sometime, I think last year or so, some monarchs were nabbed as being part of some perpetuating matters of insecurity in some states. So how open are they? It's good they're having conversations with the president, and I believe that they will also look at matters of some gray areas where some of them have been fingered as being part of some of the issues in their community.
Sure.
All right, let's quickly move on now to the Saturday Tribune. Tinubu probes Emefiele, places him on suspension. Subsidy removal, marking the order's release of more buses, rolls out other palliatives. A Senate presidency tussle, votes may sell for $5,000, $10,000. Anxiety in Akpabio's camp over Yari, Tinubu seeks royal father's intervention. El-Rufai's claim of Muslim domination is toxic, frightening. Fuel hike, we may increase school fees. Southwest PDP reps elect demand House minority leader. Vigilante shoots man dead for speaking to his girlfriend. Former governors, 34 others fill private universities. Prioritize competence, ensure ethnic religious balance in appointments. Olugbon tells Tinubu, I stopped taking soft drinks 20 years ago. 90-year-old Shodaike is speaking. All right, who has what story?
I don't have a story in the Tribune.
Okay, the fuel price hike, we may increase school fees. I thought you had that. Well, those are, with regards to the subsidy removal, it's affecting schools. Private school owners are saying that they are going to look at increasing school fees for them to be able to remain in business. They have looked at overhead costs and the matter of buying fuel as it is, and that the only way they can go about that is to increase school fees. And so are beginning to speak out so that parents can begin to take steps to ensure that, okay, prepare themselves, rather, that's the word, that we know that we might be reviewing the school fees in the coming days, so get set. And the
ripple effect of this removal of subsidy cannot be overemphasized. It just goes on in so many sectors. The cost of goods, stationery itself, you know, in schools. I would have expected that immediately, but you know how schools take their fees per term. So does that mean that by September, parents should begin to get ready for that?
That's what it means.
Yeah, I think they will communicate that. They
will communicate that, except they are also looking at having virtual classrooms, for a certain level.
That virtual classroom doesn't work. It's always a waste of time. The internet is not stable. And then the kids do not really enjoy that effect of being in the classroom.
And then for parents who are working, how do they handle?
So how do you monitor?
Their caregivers.
Yes.
So they will have to leave their children with their caregivers to monitor their child in school.
What if you don't have a caregiver? What if just dropping off your child was your escape to just quickly go to work?
So be ready to pay the fees. That's what it is. You can't eat your cake and have it as it stands, because they have to remain in business as it is, and they are looking at the overhead cost. Are we saying that they shouldn't look at increasing the school fees? How do we want to cushion the effect? We have seen some states saying that, okay, 3 working days. Kwara State, for instance, has said that they're going to have 3 working days for their staff, for their staffers. We see Edo State also saying about 3 or 4 working days, and we also see some other states coming up with palliatives. And yes, a majority of Nigerians are saying, do not limit these palliatives, stretch it such that it gets across sectors and everybody gets to feel the impact of the palliative. So what is the government going to do in that instance? If government is saying, okay, 3-4 working days, and schools are part of it, your child will have to be at home to have virtual classrooms. So what it will be now is how government can partner with some of these internet providers to ensure that there is stable network. And then we have matter of electricity.
Okay.
To ensure you have electricity.
It's just
that some persons will be cut off in the whole process because there are some persons who do not have the needed device to be able to be part of virtual classrooms. What are we going to do with that? So there's a whole lot. Yes, the government is meeting with stakeholders to address this matter, as is being reported. But for the matter of fuel subsidy removal, it is gone.
And it's here to stay.
And it's here to stay.
So we must accept that reality that
and begin to adjust.
Yes. Yeah. Do you have a story?
Yes. There's a picture of an abandoned child on page 5 of this newspaper, the Saturday Tribune, giving a few details about it. So this is just to put it out there. If you know of a family looking for a 2-year-old, please reach out to the dailies today, the Saturday Tribune, and you'll find the picture of the child there.
Okay.
So
Damola, you have one story that you...
Yes. Quickly. So it's the rift between the former governor of Kano State, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, and former presidential candidate, engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. So the former governor, Ganduje, said he would have slapped Engineer Kwankwaso if he had met him at the villa when they went to meet with the president. And this is stemming from the demolition exercises that are going on in Kano State right now, which is being done by the current governor of Kano State, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. And Ganduje is claiming that this is just a personal vendetta against the success of his own administration, and that this, the demolitions have not been properly investigated. And this just goes to show that our politicians need to do better, because one of the reasons why investors are scared of investing in a particular state or country is political instability. So they don't want a situation whereby they would have a contract with a sitting governor, and then another one comes and then toggles it over, and then they have to wait till they sort out the matter. I think that personal issues between politicians should be left aside when it's related to, governance and state-related matters.
Very important. Yeah. Right. Here we need to wrap things up now. I wanted to talk about the inauguration of the 10th Senate, which is to happen next week, Tuesday. And from the story here, we are hearing that votes may sell for $5,000, $10,000 because of the intrigues already involved. And it's going to be an interesting one. And trust TVC to be on top of the issues to bring you every detail with regards to inauguration of the 10th Senate.